Why do most investors fail at wealth creation?
Shubham, that's a very interesting question. If you have 14% expectation from the market, I think that is your problem and that is not market's problem. It's a myth that direct stock investing will make you more money than mutual funds.
If someone wants to build a wealth, let's say of 10 crores and he earns an average 50,000, what is the one advice or one thing which you would say that he should go about?
The roadmap to be able to create wealth is a very simple equation. The Chinese stocks available at 1/3 or 1/4 of India valuation.
Zomato changed into Eternal and now they're exploring different industries as well. How the professionals can upskill themselves and contribute to the economy.
As anybody who's watching this video, you focus on what your core expertise is, and I think the biggest problem I see, not just in the young generation but in our generation as well, is
why do most investors fail at wealth creation? Many a times, right? And often we see that despite having the same access of information, despite having the same things, there are very few successful investors. And so what are the psychological factors or things which you think from your journey, which the investors or the people should follow?
I think, Shubham, that's a very interesting question, and I'll tell you why. Because when I started with the wealth side of the business, I actually thought my USP was how I could pick trends or how I could understand where to invest. I always thought I was a great multi-asset manager where I will know, given my understanding, where will gold, silver go up or which particular sector will go up. And I will try and position my clients' investments accordingly and then try and generate alpha over the relevant index. I always, for the longest time, thought that my knowledge was my USP. But I think thanks to the investors that I manage, that I understood that investing or probably being able to create wealth is 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. While I was studying whatever I have studied in the area of finance, I would typically always wonder why these guys are teaching me behavioral finance. And I would only read it from a contextual standpoint that these guys will ask me something in the exam. I'll tell you practically now I've realized, and rightly so, if you want to be in this business of wealth management or investment in general, you have to be a good behavioral management expert versus an investment expert, because that is exactly what you want. Like you rightly said, access to information is so easy today, right? And thanks to AI and social media in general, I don't really think that you will not be able to get any information that I have access to. Of course, I might get that information slightly early because I might have some paid apps or paid softwares that might give me access to that slightly early than you. But there is hardly anything that you will not have access for absolutely free that I have access for with a slightly detailed gratification. I don't really think that access to information is any moat anymore. It is actually your behavioral skills of how you are able to handhold investors to make sure that they sustain in the journey of wealth creation. Because I always keep telling people that the roadmap to be able to create wealth is a very simple equation. How much money can you invest? How much return are you going to make on that investment? How long will you stay invested? Will decide how much wealth are you able to create. And there are three elements. How much do you invest? How long do you stay? How much return will you make? That will decide how much wealth are you creating. And I've understood this over a period of time while I started managing investments for clients. There are only two out of these three things in your hand. How much money can you invest? How long can you stay invested? The third element, which is not in your hand, is how much return will you generate on. These are the three pillars that will decide how much wealth are you going to be able to create over a period of time. And one is not in your control and two are in your control. What should you ideally focus on? You should actually focus on what is in your control. How much money can you invest and how long can you stay invested? But invariably, the most unfortunate thing is that everybody wants to work and try and control which is uncontrollable, which is trying to generate higher returns. Is where most people cannot become wealthy, because you are trying to master something that is uncontrollable and not focusing on what is actually controllable. So to answer your question, I think what I've really understood managing investor is that try and educate them that there are three elements that will make you wealthy over a period of time. Two are in your control. How much can you invest? How long can you invest? Focus on that and don't focus on returns, because it's an output that is uncontrollable. That is as simple as that. I mean, I always keep telling people that probably retail investors in India can beat the most sophisticated investors on the Wall Street with just discipline.